What's up everybody, it's Lanz MacDonald. Welcome back to another video. As you guys can see by the title, today we're going to be talking all about trust issues. I had 2 or 3 people reach out to me on my Instagram in response to the how to avoid getting played video, and basically what they were asking was, how do I know that I'm identifying the signs of a player versus my own trust issues getting in the way of my happiness and potential relationship? I think that this is a really good key thing to learn, and it's something that I had to really focus on moving from the trauma of my past into growing into a really healthy relationship with the person I'm with now. So I want to share 6 tips with you guys on how to work on your trust issues and identify if it's fear versus your actual intuition that something's wrong. Okay, let's get into this. Before we get into the steps, it's important that you identify why you have trust issues. Where is this coming from? The obvious one could be that you had someone that you love and trusted end up betraying your trust. They lied to you, maybe they cheated on you, but it doesn't always need to be that you were cheated on. It could be that you grew up in a house where maybe one of your parents cheated on each other, or they just had a really toxic relationship which ended up distorting your version of what relationships are and what trust looks like. Or it could simply be that we do live in a society now that glamorizes having side pieces and having a lack of commitment to one person. All of these things can end up contributing to why you don't want to trust others and you don't want to open yourself up to people. So what these 6 steps are going to allow you to do is identify if it's your fear getting in the way of your happiness or if it's your intuition telling you that something's just not right. Okay, so first things first, you need to make sure that you've actually given yourself an adequate amount of time to heal from whatever trauma happened in your past. When you give yourself that time to self-reflect, learn how to love yourself, and also reflect on the red flags that happened in your past, you're going to be setting a good foundation for the relationships that you're going to pursue in the future. Signs that you're not ready could be that you say a lot of cynical statements and reductionist statements like all men are trash, or all women are trash, or all men are the same. You could be saying things like you expect to be hurt, you expect that people are going to do you dirty. You could be really frustrated because you feel like you just keep attracting the same toxic people and the same toxic patterns. If you're with somebody right now, you may feel like you have this urge to constantly look through their phone, check their location, see who they're following. Or this is a crazy one that people find it really hard to confront within themselves because it's kind of an uncomfortable thought. Are you settling with somebody that you know is just a safe option, and you're saying things like, well, at least I know they'll never cheat on me, or, well, at least I know I wear the pants. All of these things are indicators that you may not actually be ready to step into a relationship, or maybe you're not even ready for the relationship you're in now because you haven't done the work to make sure that you feel stable as your own human being. And yes, some people could argue that these are things that you can work on when you're in a relationship, but I'm telling you, it's a hell of a lot easier if you do the work necessary ahead of time so you don't need to drag that baggage into a new relationship. The second tip that really helped me work on my trust issues is ask yourself if your reaction lines up with your reality. This is going to be the biggest step in identifying if it's fear versus intuition. Intuition is an inner knowing that goes beyond conscious reasoning. It goes beyond conscious thought. Intuition is that gut feeling that you just know something's wrong. But this is where it gets tricky. What we might think is intuition could actually be fear in disguise, and we are projecting our previous trauma onto a perfectly normal and good human being and relationship. Now, this isn't black and white. Every relationship is different, but a good way to start trying to identify if you are projecting your trauma and your fear is, has the person you're with actually given you a reason not to trust them? Have they cheated on a previous partner? Have they hidden their phone from you, or you've caught them deleting messages? Have you caught them in a lie? Do they seem really secretive? Those are all signs where you legitimately should be concerned about being vulnerable with this person and potentially dating. But if they haven't given you real evidence that they aren't a person that you should trust, you need to give them the benefit of the doubt until something happens. This is really hard, I know, because what happens with our brains when we get traumatized is it wants to do everything in its power to make sure that we never have to relive our past again. But when you catch yourself acting out of fear and projection, Remind yourself that you only need to stress if something does happen. Otherwise, you're just reliving your previous trauma over and over again for no reason. And you could potentially be pushing yourself away from a really good person and relationship because you're creating these fear-based false realities and essentially sabotaging any chance of you being happy and moving forward. And this leads perfectly into the third point that I have for you guys, which is trust that whatever you went through in your past has now made you more aware and wiser of potential red flags and danger. What I needed to learn with this step in my life was that I needed to face my fears openly and honestly. I'm with an amazing man right now, and I still catch myself feeling insecure sometimes or falling back into that fear-based mentality. And I had to come to realize it had nothing to do with him. There was nothing he was doing that was making me feel insecure. It's the fact that I didn't trust myself to be wise enough to be aware of my surroundings. And so what we can take from this step is that by giving yourself more credit to understand that if something happens, we're going to be wise enough to identify that it's happening, we're also allowing ourselves to ease up a bit, relax a bit, and enjoy the person we're with and see them for who they are. We have to remind ourselves that whatever happened in our past does not define our current or future relationships. So step number 4 is the most practical approach in making sure that you're setting the stage to identify if your intuition is telling you something is wrong and this person can't be trusted, or if it's your fear getting in the way of your happiness. Let your partner know what you need and be clear and direct about it. This can be things like what your love language is. Do you need verbal affirmations to feel secure in the relationship? Do you need lots of physical touch? Do you need to spend lots of quality time together? What's the amount of communication that you require? What are the things that you need from your partner in order to feel secure and reassured? And so my rule of thumb in my relationship is, if I haven't said anything about it, you can assume that it's obliviousness. You can assume that your partner is not a mind reader and they don't know exactly what you need. However, and this is where I say that it's a very practical approach, if you have articulated yourself and they still choose to not react accordingly to make sure that you feel secure, then it's a respect thing. So say, for example, I go to my partner and I say, listen, I love you and I trust you, but plain and simple, I just feel better and more secure when you're not liking other girls' bikini photos. Or for a guy, it's, I don't like when you like that guy's shirtless photo. See how your partner reacts. Do they get really defensive? Do they try and belittle you? Do they try and call you crazy or obsessed? Or do they respond well and say, I never knew that that type of thing bothered you, but I'm going to make sure that I don't do it because I love you. So in that example specifically, I wanted to outline that the approach you give is also very important. You always want to approach it in a loving way. I love you. I trust you. I know you're of good character. This is just something that I need to feel secure. Don't come at them accusing them of being a cheater or anything like that. Naturally, they're going to end up getting defensive. But if you say it in a loving way and they're still getting defensive and calling you crazy, then that's an indicator that they're not to be trusted. Your partner should have no issue with doing whatever means necessary to make sure that you feel good. Okay, and this leads to my 5th tip on how to deal with your trust issues. Don't be defensive in your communication. Naturally, what happens when we come from a toxic past is that we assume any type of disagreement is a red flag and you need to jump ship. It's really important that when we're confronting our trust issues, we're not automatically turning our partner into our enemy. Oftentimes when we get defensive with our partners during disagreements, it's because we subconsciously assume, because of our previous trauma, that that person has an ulterior motive. They're trying to take something from us. They're trying to manipulate us. They're lying. So naturally we take a defensive stance. You need to remind yourself that it is normal and healthy to have disagreements in relationships, and that it should be you two against the problem, not you two against each other. And this leads very well into the last step, which is give people a chance to show you who they are. Like I said before, relationships are not easy, and just because you hit a roadblock or you had a disagreement doesn't mean you need to throw the whole relationship away. I'm not saying that everyone you date is going to be perfect for you, but typically when we have trust issues, we expect perfection, otherwise our fight or flight kicks in. Allow yourself to learn and grow with your partner, learn to build that trust. gain positive experiences with them, and reflect on the fact that just as much as you have flaws, they're also going to have flaws too. And the key to any relationship is just identifying what you are willing to take and what's a deal breaker for you. If his flaw is that he talks to girls at the club when you're not around, then... But if his flaw is that sometimes he forgets to text you a good morning text, then do not stress yourself out about it. We gotta work on things in relationships, because if everything was perfect right off the bat, it would be boring and it wouldn't be human. Okay guys, that's all I have for this video. I really hope this helped you confront your own trust issues and also learn how to apply it in your relationships, or maybe you're at a time right now and you're just learning how to grow and be with yourself. Feel free to give me your thoughts on this video in the comments down below, and also make sure to indicate what you'd like to see for the weeks to come. I love reading your comments on my videos, and I realize that I have a very wise YouTube family. Once again, make sure to subscribe, like, and comment. All of that good stuff really helps me out, and follow me on my Instagram, which is @Lanz MacDonald. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I will see you next video.